You know, I heard these women here in that timeline. Millions of dollars, got helipads and all that shit. And it's crippling to be of the knowledge that you're stuck. You're forever stuck. But that, you know, the video I did where I talked about feeling somebody, putting somebody else's soul consciousness into me, you know, chilling at the Manor, which is a homeless shelter, really nice homeless shelter, when all of this shit first happened. And walking in the park one night, I was drinking vodka. You know, I planned on making homemade vodka, you know, so it don't have anything negative in it, or, you know, homemade wine, since I got some grapes from a food pantry. You know, it's a shame that my life has been brought down to that. I heard, you know, I remember walking in the park that's adjacent to it that night and feeling somebody slap the timelines of somebody from Destrehan, Louisiana. And right before I went to jail, and this was in June of 22nd of 2022, back when I was living on the PCH in my blue Chevy van in Malibu, and I was enjoying my life as a van lifer. I even had a dream of somebody. I got Ashley Hampstead and a Renee Wellinger, or Renee, I'm trying to figure out the name. Ashford, it could be, or Terrell. My dad was telling me Ashley Terrell. You can use, you know, 694, 695 hertz C. But anyways, I remember having a dream of some people from Destrehan, Louisiana in the motorboat. You know, coming to help me, but little did I know what it entailed. And I saw, you know, that timeline. I saw you know, I even had a dream about being in the studio with Lil Wayne, and I like white men, and it's attributable to that Swedish past life. That's just the way in which I am. It's like being gay or transgender. It's the same thing with me, being transracial. That's who I am, and I don't apologize. With that being said, you know, I was in the studio with him and a bunch of other brothers. I saw Birdman, who's worth like 300 million, which he's part of that 300 million, you know, club, you know, with the Illuminati. Because, you know, let's be real for a second. Cash Money Millionaires, I remember they used to be posted out in New Orleans East. Them niggas, they never sold as many records to justify that nigga being worth 150 million. Usually when you see motherfuckers like him, like Selena Gomez, like, what's them other motherfuckers' names? Raven Simone. I hated when people used to associate me with her. Like, get that shit out of here, man. You know, when I was growing up, I wanted to be somebody greater. You know, not no fucking celebrity. And that's motherfuckers that's trying to fucking, you know, feed, bait motherfuckers to like them to feed their ego. I'm not that type of motherfucker. I don't want you to, I don't care if you like me or not. I kind of don't want your motherfucking ass to like me if you're not real. Stay the fuck away from me, or else I woke you. I almost want to say that, but when you see motherfuckers like them who ain't doing anything, who are all of a sudden worth 300 million, it's because the Illuminati is paying them to do something under the radar. Like in the case of Adele, Kodak Black, Eminem. I mean, I heard that he sleeps in a cryogenic chamber. And they killed him off because of what he discovered the plans of the Illuminati which is to kill everybody and put their soul consciousness or something in clones where we act as their slaves. And he was going to reveal that because he was a real motherfucker and they got rid of him. And, I don't see how, Haley and all of that, who he loved, I don't even think she remembers him, could not see past that. I heard that they lied and told him that he was an evil motherfucker, some shit like that. But anyways, usually the Illuminati will, for 5 major reasons, like Andrew Tate, give you $300 million when you ain't really deserving of that shit. All right, as I would, I think, let me mention this again. I had a skinwalker. It sounded like a cat tried to come in and take me over, but my little roach spears ran them off. But anyways, the Illuminati will administer a black card to people. I remember hearing, interestingly, Lil Wayne talk about it for 5 major reasons. The first one is, like with Andrew Tate, look at this shit here.
Did I say the word listen? Bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen? Did I say listen? Look at the camera. Did I say listen? Did I say? Did I say it? No. Did I say it? Look at the camera. This is what happens, you don't listen. Look at the camera. Why are you getting hit? Why are you getting beaten? You don't listen. You. Do as I say.
Sex trafficking. The Illuminati, like them wetback cartels, are very big on selling human beings. And usually, I heard of a place named Gita's where, they chop up MK Ultra victims. I even heard in the spirit plane, I'm hoping it's not true, about Michael Jackson and Paris Jackson and all of that, and them kids being brought from something like that. That's why, even though Debbie Rowe was white, them kids look exotic, but have a darkness to them. They don't look full on white. And I don't believe that that's his kids. I mean, anybody with common sense can fucking see. The selling of sex trafficking victims for MK Ultra, for rituals, for places like Gita's, which is a lot like the film Hostel. That's why your boy Eli Wright, that was actually one of my favorite fucking films back in the early 2000s. Where they were chopping up people and all that shit, when they had all that fucking sadistic porn and killing people. You had Saw, was another one. I gotta think about it. I remember they had some asshole who was playing some wetback shit and was talking bad about blacks, and I started playing Trump. I'd have woke a motherfucker and put the shit I got on me on their asses. I don't play around. Anyways, they give you a black card for sex trafficking Another one with like Selena Gomez for turning people into entity attachments or reels for them to use to get power and all of that. That's why they have them bruised eyes. You don't need any of that, man. You know, I subscribe to the ancient Eastern philosophy and way of seeing things like Shintoism. All you need is energy, frequency, and ancestors. That's what we have. I was saying before, all you need is energy and frequency and your ancestors to be able to do things. You know, at one point, we were crowned by our ancestors. You don't need anything else. There's a frequency, 195 hertz, that I believe can bring out your ancestors. 71 hertz can show you your ancestors in the spirit plane. I remember, playing it one time and seeing, with my shit all wide open, third eye and pineal gland wide open during this shit. And seeing, at first I saw Great Britain. And on my 23rd and me, it shows a lot of British, and I've had a lot of British come and help spiritually, ancestors, including slave masters. One who was related to Baron Samedi. 694 hertz, 695 hertz. See? And then another one that showed the Igbo tribe of Africa. That, look, I'm going to say something right now. I don't understand why black folks don't have a lot of pride in themselves. Because we actually, I saw it with the ancient Cometians or the Egyptians. We actually come from the originators or progenitors who created our universe and colonized our universe. There's a lot to be proud of being black. In next lifetime, I want to come back as black. I'll say that right now. There's nothing more beautiful than a bond between the black family. Nothing like it. Wetback families. My dad's past life, he was Mexican. That's why he's such a humble guy. In part, I feel, and get shitting on, especially in the spirit plane, going back to the August 22nd, 2022 timeline. I remember hearing from his Mexican past life family. They all reincarnated as black, and they enjoy it. When they were Mexicans, they would shout at each other and have colorism. And again, it's because of Quetzalcoatl. It's funny how you can have families that on the exterior look the same, but have totally different physically, soul consciousnesses, soul matrices, souls on the inside. So, with that being said, they pay people, like with Andrew Tate. Okay, you got sex trafficking. Then you got turning people into entity attachments. Like Adele and like Selena Gomez, who both talked about, interestingly speaking, having spirits in a motherfucking place, which I think really represents, it's like I heard with me at the Manor, having parts of their soul, entity attachments of it, still stuck in, in that timeline. Yes, floor, I don't even really, I need to clean it. Then you have prostitution, which you get a green card for that, but I'm trying to think of something else. Soul swapping, sex trafficking, and turning people into entity attachments. I heard it's the same situation with that singer who I was a fan of back in the 90s, Millennium. He's some Millennium. Robbie Williams. He got the same last name as me. I heard he does that. Change people into entity attachments for the Illuminati. when you read articles and stories about people being, the real entities are actually former people who were victims of the Illuminati who got turned into that. And you can use 4,200 hertz to change them back. I did that with my parents going back to that August 22nd, 2022 timeline when they were under their control. They changed them right back. That frequency, working with them road spirits and all that. 3517 hertz along with 3571 hertz. And the best is 1117 hertz combined with 800 hertz, which could be used to put back together to revive a dead body along with a spirit body. The reason why 1117 hertz combined with 800 hertz is more effective is because even if your motherfucking ass is cremated, anytime you have existed in the physical plane, you have density. You will always exist no matter what. That's why motherfuckers like to tie themselves to the living. And it's because it gives them, I don't want to say chi, but meat. And if they get pulled into a bad place in the spirit plane, it allows them to be able to, get pulled out. So 1117 hertz combined with 800 hertz. That's something that can be fucked with. I've used 3517 hertz, 3571 hertz, but 3517 hertz is the best. I used it on my dad one time, and that works effectively. But anyways, like with Black Lives Matter, I remember before August the 22nd, 2022, for that shit happened, reading an article about how that organization actually got stolen from a real grassroots person and got appropriated by the Illuminati through George Soros. I just can't recall the name. I just can't recall the name. But the Illuminati hands out blue cards for public speaking. Then for prostitution, which I suspect is the case with NBA Youngboy. And I swear I read somewhere that he's in that $300 million club. He's worth a lot of money unnecessarily. And like Cash Money Millionaires, them niggas ain't made enough money to justify having that much. I mean, you look at Juvenile, who's the most honest of them all. He owns a restaurant in New Orleans and everything. He's only worth $27 million. I'm not sure as to how much Master P is worth. His fucking name is pretty cool, but it's funny because of what it means. But I don't know if he's part of that club. Let me see. Maria Tavarez doing all that shush and shit and trying to trick me into doing something that would, fuck things up just now. She's trying to fuck with my consciousness. Like I say, I need to go to somebody to do Reiki. Get this shit off, as this is the most evil ass malevolent shit. With that being said, I believe I got my ancestors trying to correct it, because somebody's stealing your consciousness like this, where they stealing everything. From what I understand, that bitch is trying to kill me off, wetback, and take everything she can. Wish I had the strongest spirit team to avert it. And that's why I went into hiding. I wish I can come back to just talking like this, like I used to. Instead of talking about all that shit that sounds schizophrenic, but it's real. And it's an ordeal. But anyways, he's worth $200 million, but I get the sense that it comes from valid ventures like restaurants. A lot of people will go out and own restaurants and all of that, and doing various things. So like when she did that, she was deliberately throwing me into a different timeline. They fucking with your entity attachments to throw you off and shit. That Maria Tavarez, along with that Ines. I got Armando or Paraffin Armando. I gotta get them wetbacks out. Those are some evil motherfuckers. Like I say, they come from evil spirits like Quetzalcoatl. I saw their origins. I don't need to know nothing else. And reptilians on top of that would manipulate them. I mean, they're fucking, I heard that their creator gods are so evil that they, you know, like a Marin Samedi or Oshun or Aludamare and all of them, well, he is God. Ubatala, Thor, Aphrodite, you know, I've dealt with and all that. They cool. They can't come and swoop them up. That's how bad this shit is. And on top of that, they crowned by Santa Muerte, who is pretty much a topa, a thought form, in other words, where her followers act as judge, jury, and executioner. And you can be swiped up any fucking time. You know, I remember Baron Samedi saying the worst he saw in her realm was a 2-year-old child. And the whatchamacallit cut off, but the problem with Santa Muerte is, you know, oh, this is what I wanted to say. The worst that Baron Samedi saw was a 2-year-old child stuck in a hell realm. And the worst that I heard and saw was a rape victim whose rapist acted as judge, jury, and executioner and swooped up in the middle of the motherfucking night. And the problem with, you know, Santa Muerte is she's a thought form. So it's her followers who act as judge, jury, and executioner, and there's no real oversight. That's why, I mean, you know, I want to come back. I'm happy to be black. I want to come back as that MAGA. MAGA puts a brick wall on that shit. She controls their oversoul consciousness, so she could just arbitrarily, you know, come for you in the middle of the motherfucking night. And it's usually the highest selves who give her meat. So, and again, it's her followers who act as judge, jury, and executioner. You don't want to leave it up to them motherfuckers. You know, it's not like a Baron Samedi, for instance, when I first got sacrificed by him, but not this shit here. He was my highest self, my highest self. And that's because he actually existed. He was a real living person, along with Oshun, Yameya, Okosi, Obatala of Santeria, Aludamare, who's his own God. Well, he's God. Then you got, I got to think of some of the other names. You know, a Thor, who actually existed, and Ogun, who's just, you know, Thor is a lot like. You know, the Brotherhood of the Hammers. Got to get a 25-pound dumbbell next month. And I'm going to get another one so I can be able to do reps, you know, like this. Or Oya. You know, they ain't just spirits and all that shit. You know, they actually are, you know, they existed. They were, you know, Santa Muerte was created, I believe, by cartel members to offset the hell realms they would end up in if she didn't exist. So with that being said, I couldn't fuck with that. I couldn't be under some, like, that's scary. That's why they fear her, but I ain't, you know, I ain't no fucking wetback, so I ain't got nothing to fear. Put that MAGA hat on, and, you know, as I found out in the spirit plane, Donald Trump is protected by the God of light. That's why he's so hated. You know, especially by them other politicians I call them, who are under the Baphomet. They're the ones who did that Pizzagate shit along with that conspiracy of silence shit. It's vote Republicans and Democrats. Conspiracy of silence shows Republicans doing that. Look up the Nebraska Credit Bureau scandal where they filed child porn inside the locks of the Franklin Credit Bureau that, you know, was connected to the Boys Town in Nebraska. And Omaha, I believe. And, you know, in the video that I saw, one young man who I actually had a crush on, who was doing a lot of heroin and all of that, he witnessed a police chief from there putting bees in a child's rectum. So it's both Republican and Democrat, and it's about keeping this whole system together that keeps us from getting to light, to the source, and returning to that. You know, I learned a couple of days ago about the Egyptians, by the way, that they come from something that's higher than the light, and that's our ancestors, our predecessors. You know, I just don't understand why black people. You know, I see all these videos. If you're materialistic, I can see white people, but why wetback? Why would you want to be one? Get the fuck out of here. Those motherfuckers are self-hating. Look at their origin. You know, trying to get along and trying to be accepted by it. You are the blueprint. Stop it. So anyways, with that being said, let me go ahead and get to doing these cards. Then I'm going to work out. It feels so good to be doing this video because I be stuck in here with all that shit, and it feels like I'm stuck in my head, but really it's a lot of shit that I'm facing. You know, and I'm just trying to get it off. So I think I'm a stop doing videos and just be more, not public, but more emotive. So we're going to get to these tarot readings. I want to go back to being able to teach motherfuckers. I miss that. It seems like schizophrenia, man, but it isn't what I'm dealing with. My third eye all fucked up because of this shit, so I can barely use it, but I'm going to try. A lot of great things are going to come for you. Just be very, very careful. I used to enjoy seeing things through my third eye. That Maria Tavarez stole my shit a couple of days ago. I got to get rid of that motherfucker because still somebody's soul consciousness, and you know I had to have some people get it back. That's just hellish. You can always get your shit back. 295 hertz, 1714 hertz, 1715 hertz. Try not to let shit intimidate me like somebody was saying. Lord have mercy. So anyways, in the obstacle position, we got the Page of Pentacles. And I feel like you're on the precipice of gaining something that you really, really need. So, and it's something that's going to bring you immense joy. So in the present position, we got the Ten of Cups. And I feel like you're looking out and you're in a good place. But you feel like you made the right decision. I feel you have, but be very careful. So for the future position, we got Seven of Swords. I feel like you're going to hook up with some motherfuckers that's not going to do you right and not do right by you. Be careful of that. So we got the Three of Pentacles right here. And that's in the subconscious position. And I feel like you got assistance in the bedroom, but you feel like it's not enough. So anyways, for the goals, we got Queen of Pentacles. And I feel like you want to be in a place where you don't have to struggle and go through shit. So right here, we got the Hermit. And I feel that's your advice card. Something is telling you, don't do too much. Just go into a good place and you will be good. Eight of Wands. That's the energy that surrounds you. All eyes on you. You're going forward in the right position. Four of Pentacles. I feel that you see a lot of good things happening for you. That's your fears and your hopes card. I see that you see stability on the horizon, but you're on the precipice of gaining it. Knight of Swords, that's the outcome. I feel that you're going to be brash and not give a fuck and abrasive, and you're going to do what needs to be done to get to where you need to be. So with that being said, if you want a more personalized tarot reading, please contact me at ravenbytarot22@yahoo.com. I gotta get them wet bags snipped in the butt. Somebody put something on this shit. Something gotta be done.